Why has the world ignored this? We are told Afghanistan is a barren wasteland. That is a lie. This documentary is about what they don't want you to see. We're talking about lakes so blue they look fake, fortresses carved by Alexander the Great, and a sport played with a... well, you'll see. This isn't a news report. This is a journey to the heart of a civilization. We are going to find the real Afghanistan hidden in plain sight, and the secrets we find inside the Blue Mosque are, to say the least, shocking. When you leave the noise of the cities behind, the world changes. The air gets thin, the sky gets bigger, and the silence is, to put it mildly, deafening. Our journey into the hidden Afghanistan begins in the Central Highlands in Bamiyan province. This is a place of legends, a place carved by nature and scarred by human hands. It's a land where the earth itself seems to tell stories, where every ruin has a name and every valley has a secret. This is not the Afghanistan you expect. This is the one that has been waiting, hidden in plain sight. Our journey starts in the very center of the country, in a high-altitude basin surrounded by the snow-capped peaks of the Hindu Kush. This is Bamiyan. For centuries, this was a critical stop on the Silk Road, a crossroads for merchants, monks, and armies. But today, it's a place of profound, quiet beauty. The air here is thin and crisp, and the sun is intense. The first stop, however, doesn't feel like it belongs on this planet. We've arrived at Bandi Amir National Park, and right away you see it. It looks fake. It looks like someone took a picture of a rocky, barren, dusty canyon and then digitally painted in the most impossible, vibrant blue you've ever seen. But this is real. This is Afghanistan's first and only national park, a chain of 6 impossibly turquoise lakes connected by waterfalls set against bright red rock cliffs. It's a surreal oasis. The thing nobody tells you is that this color isn't from a filter, and it isn't from the sky, it's from the water itself. The snowmelt from the mountains is incredibly rich in minerals, especially calcium carbonate. This mineral-rich water builds up natural travertine dams, layer by layer, over thousands of years. These dams are what hold back the water, creating the lakes. It's a geological wonder, a process so slow and so perfect it boggles the mind. But the locals will tell you a different story. They don't talk about travertine. They talk about Imam Ali, the cousin and son-in-law of the Prophet Muhammad. As the legend goes, Ali's army was passing through this desert, parched and desperate for water. He struck the cliffs with his sword, and in a single night, these 6 lakes sprang forth to save his men. Each lake has a name. The biggest is Bandi Zulfikar, the Lake of the Sword. Another is Bandi Haibat, the Lake of Splendor. For a visitor, this place is about pure peace. You'll see local families who have driven for hours, picnicking on the shores. The most popular activity, and a truly strange sight, is paddling across the sapphire water in quirky, swan-shaped paddle boats. In this remote, rugged landscape, a bright yellow swan boat is the last thing you expect. Accommodation here is basic. You won't find any 5-star hotels. What you will find are simple, mud brick guest houses run by local families, offering blankets on the floor and a view that would cost thousands of dollars anywhere else. The local specialty? Freshly caught trout from the lakes, grilled over a small fire on the shore and seasoned with mountain herbs. As the sun sets, the lakes shift from sapphire to a deep emerald, and the silence is broken only by the wind. But this peace is new, and it's fragile. Just a short drive away, we find a different kind of silence, a heavier one. A silence that speaks of a great loss. We are in the main Bamiyan Valley, standing before the Buddhas of Bamiyan niches. But the Buddhas are gone. All that remains are 2 massive, empty voids carved into the cliff face, like giant footprints of a lost god. The scale is almost impossible to comprehend. One niche is over 180 feet tall, the other is 125 feet. For 1,500 years, two of the largest standing Buddha statues in the world watched over this valley. They were carved in the 6th century when this valley was a thriving center of Buddhism. They were icons of the Silk Road. Monks, merchants, and pilgrims from as far as China and India would stop here, marveling at their size and their beauty, painted in bright colors and gold. They survived the hordes of Genghis Khan, but they couldn't survive the year 2001. In an act that shocked the world, they were destroyed. The wind now echoes in the empty spaces, a low, mournful sound. But what many overlook is what's around the niches. The entire cliff face is honeycombed with over 1,000 monk caves. Climbing up into these caves, you step back in time. Inside, in the cool darkness, you can still see faded murals on the plaster walls, paintings of celestial beings, scenes from Buddhist texts, their colors, lapis lazuli blue, mineral red, still vibrant after centuries. UNESCO and teams from around the world are here, working to stabilize the fragile niches and catalog the fragments of the statues. Sometimes, on special anniversaries, they project the Buddhas back into their empty homes with powerful lasers. It's a ghostly, beautiful, and heartbreaking sight. Locals whisper that during the monsoon rains, the niches weep as water streaks down the empty-eyed caves. From the valley floor, our eyes are drawn upward. High above us, perched like a dragon's spine on a crimson cliff, are the ruins of Mazar-i-Sharif, better known as the Red City. This is not for the faint of heart. The climb is steep and treacherous, a scramble over loose rocks and narrow ledges. There are no handrails here. Your reward is the view and a feeling of complete isolation. This 1,500-year-old fortress city once guarded the eastern entrance to the Bamiyan Valley. Its walls, towers, and homes are made from the same red mud brick as the cliffs, making it almost invisible from a distance. It's a perfect natural camouflage. This was a Zoroastrian stronghold long before it was a fortress, but it met a terrible end. In the year 1221, the armies of Genghis Khan arrived. The siege was long and brutal. The Red City held out, but as the legend here goes, the fortress was not taken by force. It was taken by betrayal. A local story tells of a queen, angry at her father, who showed the Mongols a secret water passage into the fortress. The Mongols stormed the gates, and in his rage, Genghis Khan, whose own grandson had been struck down in the siege, ordered that no living thing be spared. They left nothing standing. You can feel that history in the wind. The panoramic views of the valley are staggering, but there's a heaviness here. Locals say the ghosts of its defenders still guard the windswept towers, their whispers lost in the sound of the wind. This valley is full of such places, places with names that tell their own stories. Not far away is another ruin, Shari Golgola, which translates chillingly to the City of Screams. This was the last gorid holdout against the Mongols in that same bloody campaign in 1221. When the Red City fell, this hilltop citadel was the final refuge. The Mongols laid siege, and the defense was desperate. But when it finally fell, the destruction was so complete, the screams of its inhabitants were said to echo through the valley, giving the place its name forever. Today, the crumbling hilltop citadel blends into the Hindu Kush peaks. It's a haunting, cinematic silhouette, especially at sunset. The walls are jagged, broken teeth against the sky. It's a popular spot for local families to have a picnic. A strange and resilient contrast of new life against an old, dark memory. But like so many places in Afghanistan, this city has a secret. A local legend claims a hidden tunnel leads from the citadel's treasury down into the valley and to a cave far away. A tunnel, they say, that is still filled with the buried Buddhist treasures and gorid gold of the city's rulers, hidden in the final moments before the fall. Treasure hunters have looked for centuries. They've found nothing. but the story persists. The strangest place in Bamiyan, however, might be a short drive west. This is Darya Ajdahar, the Dragon Valley. This misty gorge holds what looks exactly like a dragon. Snaking through the valley for several miles is a massive winding rock formation that looks precisely like the petrified bones and scales of a mythical beast. The myth is powerful, and every child in Bamiyan knows it. A terrible dragon lived in this valley, terrorizing the villagers, demanding tributes of food and livestock. The people prayed for a hero. Finally, Imam Ali, the same hero from the lakes, came. He confronted the beast, and after a mighty battle, he slew the dragon with his sword. Its body turned to stone, a permanent reminder of the victory of good over evil. The science, of course, says something different. It's more travertine, the same mineral deposit from the lakes carved by an ancient river. But standing there with eagle nests perched on the dragon's scales and wildflowers blooming in the mist, it's much, much easier to believe in the dragon. Our last stop in this region shows the sheer engineering of the past and its vulnerability. This is Chahel Burj, the Fort of 40 Towers. These aren't just ruins, they are a medieval fortress cluster with gorid watchtowers from 900 years ago, literally eroded into the cliffs. These towers were built to guard the trade routes, silent sentinels watching for any army or bandit caravan. They too were damaged by the Mongols, but they remain, clinging to the rock. They overlook peaceful apple groves, fed by the same glacial melt that fed the fortresses. What's hidden here? Inside some of the more protected towers, archaeologists found carved love poems in Kufic script, telling the story of a sultan's forbidden romance. It's a touch of humanity in a place built for war. The highlands are a place of profound beauty and deep, unhealed scars. But the story of Afghanistan is a story of empires. To find the next chapter, we must travel west. The journey west is long. The landscape changes from high-altitude rock to a rolling, drier expanse, a land of pistachio-green hills and endless horizons. We are heading to Herat, the jewel of western Afghanistan. For centuries, this city was the cultural capital of the world, a rival to Florence or Venice during the Renaissance. It was a city of poets, painters, architects, and scholars, and you can still see the bones of that greatness. The first thing you see dominating the city is the Herat Citadel. This is not a subtle building. It's a towering, massive mud brick fortress on a high rocky outcrop. It looks like a sandcastle built by giants. It's also known as the Citadel of Alexander because he built the first fortress on this very spot around 330 before Common Era, after conquering the city. It has been rebuilt over 20 times since then by every empire that passed through, the Ghurids, the Timurids, the Mughals. The thing about this place is the history. It has withstood 17 different sieges. To put it mildly, these walls have seen everything. Walking its ramparts at sunset is a must-do for any visitor. The city's old bazaars spread out below you. The hot, dusty air smells of cardamom and cumin from the spice market. You can see the entire city, and your eye is drawn to the minarets that pierce the skyline. Inside, it's a labyrinth of courtyards, towers, and barracks with a new museum. But the story that sticks is the one about a secret chamber deep in the foundations, where Timurid rulers supposedly hid gold maps that showed the locations of other lost Silk Road cities. From the citadel's ramparts, you can see the city's heart, a splash of brilliant blue. This is the Friday Mosque, or the Great Mosque of Herat. This is, without a doubt, one of the most beautiful buildings on earth. It's a masterpiece of cobalt blue tile work. It's not just blue, it's every shade of blue, from deep navy to bright turquoise. The intricate arabesque patterns, the swirls of calligraphy. It's like a kaleidoscope that you can walk into. It was first built in the year 1200 Common Era by the Ghurid dynasty, but it was the Timurids in the 15th century who perfected it. Covering it in these incredible tiles. They say it has over 400 minarets worth of tilework. A wild fact that many don't know, the tiles aren't just patterns. Many of them encode Sufi poems about love and divinity. And there's a story of a hidden mihrab, a prayer niche that was built by a deaf architect who designed it to amplify and whisper prayers back to those who could not hear. Standing in the central courtyard on a Friday, with thousands of worshippers, is a powerful experience. A visitor must, of course, remove their shoes, and women are given a chador to wear. The hospitality is immediate. Locals will often approach not to sell you anything, but simply to practice their English and welcome you. Herat was a city of art, and it was ruled by a woman of art, Queen Kandahar Shah. Her legacy is everywhere, but it's also broken. We visit the Musalla minarets and complex. Today it's mostly a ruin. But what a ruin. 5 towering minarets, some originally over 180 feet tall, rise from the ground, covered in what's left of their stunning turquoise-glazed tiles. Poetic inscriptions wrap around them. They stand in a garden of wild roses. This was once a massive complex, a mosque, a school, a library, all commissioned by Queen Kandahar Shah in the 15th century. She was one of the most powerful patrons of the arts in history. The complex was mostly destroyed in the 19th century, but the minarets remain. The local tale is that the Queen's ghost still roams the gardens, funding scholars in their dreams. Locals leave offerings of sugar and nuts at the base of the towers at dawn. Nearby is her tomb, the Kandahar Shah Mausoleum. It's an elegant Timurid dome set in a replanted park. The tilework here is intricate, blooming like a frozen garden. This is the tomb of the woman who created Herat's cultural zenith, but there's a secret here too. A historian claimed to have found her diary not on paper but etched into the walls of her private chambers, detailing a plot to rule as empress herself, a story that was never published, and the diary, if it existed, is lost. Herat is a city of mystics. We visit Jami's tomb, the resting place of the great 15th century Persian Sufi poet Abdur Rahman Jami. It's a serene place set amid pistachio groves. The air is sweet. Calligraphy seems to swirl like smoke from incense burners. This is where Jami composed his final ghazal, a form of poem. The story goes he wrote it under a comet, and in the poem he predicted the fall of the Timurid dynasty. A short drive away is another center of mysticism, the Khwaja Abd Allah Ansari Shrine, also known as Gazar Gah. This is a hilltop Sufi complex, a maze of domed chambers and poplar-lined paths. It's the retreat of an 11th century saint. This isn't just a museum, it's a living spiritual center. Qadiriya Sufis still come here to perform zikr rituals, chanting and moving in ecstatic prayer. The hidden secret here is a whispering well. Devotees whisper their secrets and prayers into the well, believing the acoustics carry their words directly to the saint in the afterlife. The rulers of Herat knew how to relax too. Takht-e Safar is a 14th century pleasure garden on a hill overlooking the city. It's a series of terraced pools and gardens designed to reflect the starlit skies. Sultan Baykara, a Timurid ruler, built it as his personal escape. Today, it's a popular spot for picnics. Families spread out blankets, drink tea, and eat sweets. But it's also a Sufi zikr site. A strange tale claims Baykara hosted a dream feast here with the ghost of Alexander the Great, who inspired his own military conquests. We also find the Pul-e-Malan Bridge, a stunning 22-arched stone span crossing a jade-green river. Willows drape over its sides like veils. This 19th century engineering feat was a major crossing point for caravans, but it has a ghost story. Locals claim the bridge trembles on full moons, and if you listen closely, you can hear the hoofbeats of phantom traders crossing in the night. But the most mysterious site in all of Western Afghanistan is not in Herat. It's hundreds of miles away in the remote Ghor province. To get there, you need a serious 4x4, a local guide, and a lot of patience. The journey is part of the destination. We are looking for the minaret of Jam, and then you see it. In the middle of nowhere, at the bottom of a deep river valley where two rivers converge, a single tower rockets toward the sky. It is 213 feet tall. It's a spiraling, intricate brick tower covered in Kufic script and turquoise tiles baked by the sun. Built in the 12th century by the Ghorid Empire, this UNESCO World Heritage Site is the second tallest ancient minaret in the world. But why is it here? There's no city around it, nothing, just mountains and rivers. Some believe it marks the site of the lost Ghorid capital, Firuzkoh. Others say it was built over the lost city of the prophet Jonah. The isolation is the point. It's a statement of power and faith in a completely wild land. Locals have a legend that during the spring equinox, the floods at its base sing Quranic verses. It is a mystery. A lonely giant hidden from the world. The west is a land of poets and ghosts, but the north is a land of saints and kings. We travel north to the flat, dusty plains that border Central Asia. This region is the historic heartland of Afghanistan, a place of pilgrimage and power. Our first stop is Mazar-i-Sharif, and you can't miss its centerpiece. The Blue Mosque, or the Shrine of Hazrat Ali. It is breathtaking. It's a massive complex of sapphire blue domes and minarets that shimmer in the intense northern sunlight. The tilework is so bright, it almost hurts your eyes. And then there are the pigeons, thousands and thousands of white pigeons. They flutter around the shrine like living snow, and locals feed them constantly. This is one of the most important pilgrimage sites in the country. It is believed to be the tomb of Ali, the fourth caliph of Islam. The current building is from the 15th century, but here's the thing, and it's a big one. Most of the world believes Ali is buried in Najaf, Iraq. But Afghans are certain he is here. The wow factor is the pigeons. The local belief is that any pigeon that lands in the shrine, no matter its original color, will turn pure white within 40 days. And here's another fact. Locals swear the pigeons never, ever defecate inside the shrine complex. They see it as a sign of divine protection. During Nowruz, the Persian New Year, thousands of pilgrims come here. A legend says that on that night, Ali's spirit lights the lanterns of the mosque himself. A visitor here finds a place not just of beauty, but of intense living faith. Sharif, as important as it is the new city. The old city is nearby, and it's a place that will rewrite your understanding of history. We are in bulk. Today, it's a dusty town, but in the ancient world, this was the mother of cities. We're standing at the ruins of Balkh. We are surrounded by 7.5 miles of crumbling ancient mud brick walls. These walls encircle what was once one of the greatest cities on earth. This place is over 5,000 years old. Some say this is the birthplace of Zoroaster, the prophet of one of the world's first monotheistic religions. You can still see the remains of Zoroastrian fire altars in the citadel, surrounded by modern cotton fields. Alexander the Great lived here and married his wife Roxana nearby. Marco Polo walked these streets and described its palaces and castles of marble. It was a center of Buddhism, Zoroastrianism, and Islam. But in 1221, Genghis Khan arrived, and he did what he did best. He leveled it. The destruction was so total, the city never recovered. Walking through the ruins, you feel the weight of those thousands of years. There's a tale of a hidden vault under the citadel where Alexander supposedly left an unburnable scroll containing the secrets of the world. Even in the ruins, there is beauty. We find the Green Mosque, a small, verdant, domed relic in the middle of a ruined bazaar. It's a 15th century survivor, one of the few buildings that wasn't completely erased. Vines are reclaiming its arches like nature's tapestry. The secret of this mosque. Locals believe the walls hide Bactrian gold coins, the same kind found in the famous Tilia Tepe tombs. People have chipped away at the plaster for centuries looking for them. The north is also home to one of the most intense sports on the planet. We're at the Buzkashi Stadium outside Mazar-i-Sharif. It's a dusty arena, really just a large field, ringed by hills where thousands of men are cheering. Down below, it is chaos. This is Buzkashi, the national sport. It translates to goat pulling. It's like polo, but the ball is... well, it's the body of a goat or calf, and the rules are there aren't many. Teams of men on horseback, called Chapandazan, fight over this carcass, trying to drag it across a goal line. It is fast, it is rough, and it is incredible to watch. The riders are legends, the horses are amazing, trained to bite and kick. What many overlooked is that this isn't just a game, it's a 1,000-year-old tradition born from tribal feuds. Riders will tell you there's a 1,000-year-old curse on losers, a belief that adds a desperate edge to the game. For a visitor, it's a raw, powerful, and sometimes shocking display of skill and tradition. Our last stop in the north is something truly strange in the neighboring province of Samangan. It's called Takht-i-Rostam, or Rostam's Throne. This is not a building, it's a Buddhist monastery, carved down into the solid rock of a ridge like a stone lotus. It's from the 2nd century, from the Kushan Empire. It's like the famous Ajanta caves in India, but in Afghanistan. You walk down stone steps into a circular stupa. A chamber surrounded by a high wall, all of it one single piece of stone. Around it are caves, the meditation cells for the monks. The hidden secret here is the sound. The monks carved wind tunnels into the rock. When the wind blows, the cells fill with a low, eternal hum. It was a meditation aid. Even today, standing in the darkness, you can hear it. This land of ancient faith is a crossroads. But to find the most untouched parts, you have to go up. Way up. We are heading east and we are heading north. Into the mountains, the real mountains, the Hindu Kush, the Pamir, the Karakoram. This is some of the most remote and inaccessible terrain on Earth. First, the Wakhan Corridor. This is one of the weirdest places on the map. It's a narrow, 220-mile-long panhandle of land, a thin finger of Afghanistan that sticks out to touch China. It's sandwiched between Tajikistan, Pakistan, and China. This entire region was a 19th century Great Game buffer zone, a political creation by the British and Russian empires to keep their borders from touching. And to put it mildly, it worked. It's a rift between giants. The valleys are narrow, the peaks are towering. We're talking 7,000-meter, over 23,000-foot peaks that have never been climbed. The people here are the Waki and the Kyrgyz. They are not Pashtun or Tajik. They are semi-nomadic, living in stone huts, herding yaks and growing barley on high-altitude terraces. Life here is hard. The winters are brutal, but the beauty is, it's on another level. This is the land of the snow leopard. These mountains are full of them. Locals have a tale that Alexander the Great's soldiers got lost here, and the Waki people are their direct descendants. There are rumors of eternal ice cities, entire cities frozen inside glaciers, guarded by these unclimbed peaks. From the high, barren Wakhan, we drop down into what feels like another continent. This is Nuristan province. Nuristan means land of light, but before 1896 it was called Kafiristan, the land of the infidels. This is a land of lush green, roadless gorges. The valleys are so steep, they say the sun only hits the bottom for a few hours a day. The people here are different. They have their own languages, their own customs. They claim to be descendants of Indo-Greeks. They practiced their own pre-Islamic pagan religion, worshipping thunder gods and nature spirits until they were forcibly converted in the 1890s. The houses here are amazing. They are carved wooden homes clinging to the sides of cliffs, decorated with intricate patterns. The whole region is covered in forests of walnut and cedar. What's the unknown story? Locals will tell you that when the mass conversion happened, the last pagans didn't destroy their idols. They hid them deep in caves high in the mountains. And they say that sometimes in the old songs, people still invoke the names of the old thunder gods. Finally, we visit a valley that is famous for very different reasons. The Panjshir Valley. This long, narrow valley is an emerald gash in the mountains. A rushing river runs through it, and the fields are green with wheat and corn. Walnut trees provide shade for picnics. This valley is, to say the least, famous. It was the heart of the resistance against the Soviets and later against the Taliban. Its geography makes it a natural fortress, but it's not just a fortress. It's also a treasure chest. The Panjshir Valley is home to some of the world's finest emeralds. Miners dig deep, dangerous tunnels into the mountains, searching for the green stones. The valley is dominated by the memory of one man, Ahmad Shah Massoud, the Lion of Panjshir. His face is everywhere. The secret here is that hikers and locals who walk the high mountain passes swear his ghost guides them, helping them find hidden resistance caves and safe paths through the treacherous terrain. Not far from Panjshir, as we head towards the capital, we pass through the Mahmud-e-Tazi Gorge. This is a dramatic cliff river chasm, a serpent's coil of a road with arched bridges. It's a major trade artery, but it feels ancient. Mist hangs in the bends. The tale here is that Mahmud of Ghazni, a powerful sultan, tamed a river demon that lived in this gorge. He carved the gorge open with his sword, making it passable for scholars and spices. We've seen the remote, the ancient, and the wild. Now we head to the heart of the modern nation, Kabul. Kabul. The name itself is loaded. It's a city of millions, a sprawling, dusty, noisy, vibrant place. It's a city of blast walls and traffic jams, but it's also a city of gardens, hidden courtyards, and an unbroken spirit. You just have to know where to look. We start in a place of peace, the Gardens of Babur. This is a terraced Mughal paradise, a walled garden built in the 16th century by Emperor Babur, the founder of the Mughal Empire. It's a classic Chahar Bagh, or four-part garden with water channels, fountains, and marble tombs. In a city as chaotic as Kabul, this place is a lung. It smells of roses. Babur loved this garden so much he asked to be buried here. His poetry is etched in stone tablets around the garden. The story goes that Babur's deathbed wish was for eternal springs. The fountains here are fed by hidden ancient aqueducts, and even in the driest years they rarely stop flowing. It's a place for families, for picnics, for a moment of quiet. From a dream that was realized, we go to a dream that was broken. On a hill overlooking the city stands the Darul Aman Palace. It is a shell, a magnificent neoclassical European-style palace. Its domes are pocked with bullet holes and rocket blasts. It is a haunting symbol of a different Afghanistan. It was built in the 1920s by King Amanullah Khan. He was a modernizer, a reformer. This palace was supposed to be the centerpiece of his new modern European-style capital, but his reforms were too fast. He was overthrown in 1929. The palace was never truly finished, and it became a target in every conflict since. What's hidden here? In the basement vaults, historians found the burned remains of women's education charters and progressive legal documents. Destroyed in the 1929 revolt, it is a palace of broken dreams. Looming over the old city is the Bala Hisar fortress. This is the real seat of power. This ancient citadel on a high rocky spur has been the center of Kabul's defense for at least 1,500 years. Its walls are scarred by centuries of invasions. It has survived, by one count, 17 major sieges. The views from here are stunning, stretching all the way to the Hindu Kush, but the fortress is full of dark stories. A Mughal prince, it said, hid a massive diamond, the Eye of Kabul, in its foundations. It has never been found. It's a place of power, but also a place of endings. Even in Kabul, you can find nature. Kaga Lake is a mirror-like reservoir ringed by poplar trees. It's a man-made lake. A high-security haven where the city's residents come for weekend picnics. You see falcon silhouettes overhead, but it has a strange hidden reputation. Locals say the lake swallows sorrows. They say if you stare into the water long enough, your reflection will be replaced by the face of a lost loved one. The real heart of Kabul, though, is in its markets, and the most unusual is the Kar Faroshi bird market. This isn't a food market. This is a labyrinth of narrow alleys lined with thousands of cages, all alive with songbirds, canaries, finches, fighting partridges. The air smells of millet, sawdust, and, strangely, of freedom. This market is a 100-year-old tradition, and it has remained untouched by all the years of unrest. It's a place where men come to trade birds, to listen to them sing, and to talk. The sellers have a unique custom. They whisper bargains to the birds, and they believe the birds choose their new owners by singing a particular song. It's a pocket of gentle absurdity in a very hard city, but the city's past is never far. We visit the Omar Landmine Museum. This is not an indoor museum, it's an outdoor garden, but the flowers are twisted metal. It's a display of over 20,000 diffused explosives, mines, rockets, cluster bombs, all collected by the demining organization Omar. It's a chilling, powerful education on the scars of the last 30 years. The hidden story here is one of resilience. The deminers tell stories of singing mines, mines that were rigged with bells or chimes by unknown people, a folk art warning system to alert children. These singing mines are part of local folklore and, according to the deminers, saved thousands of lives. We also visit the European Cemetery, a strange, quiet place. It's filled with ivy-cloaked graves of British soldiers from the Anglo-Afghan wars, Russian explorers, and Anzac adventurers. Poppies bloom on the graves of the fallen. It was built by the British in 1879. There are over 150 multinational tombs. The tale here is of a cursed rose planted on a lover's grave. It only blooms, locals say, on the anniversaries of new invasions. We stop at the Shah-e-Do Shamshira Mosque, the Mosque of the Two Swords. It's a beautiful, unusual building by the Kabul River with twin minarets that look like crossed blades. It was built in the 1920s. The legend says its founder was an Arab warrior who came to spread Islam, wielding two swords. A stranger legend says the swords in the mosque's lore will clash during thunderstorms, summoning rain. Our last view of the city is from Bibi Mahru Hill. It's a low summit, a popular spot for walks with wild thyme scenting the air. It gives you a panorama of the entire city. It's named for a moon-faced beauty who, legend says, leaped from the hill for a lost love. They say you can still see her silhouette in the clouds at dusk. Kabul is a city that refuses to be just one thing. It is a city of life, but the heart of the Pashtun world, the story of the country's founding, lies south. We are traveling south, into the desert, into the arid, hot lands of Kandahar and Ghazni. This is the birthplace of modern Afghanistan, the heartland of Pashtun culture. It's a place of deep religious conviction and ancient traditions. Our destination is Kandahar, the second largest city. And in Kandahar, there is one place that is more sacred than any other, the Shrine of the Cloak. This revered mosque is, to put it simply, the spiritual center of the nation. It houses one of the most sacred relics in Islam, a cloak. Believed to have belonged to the Prophet Muhammad himself, Ahmad Shah Durrani, the founder of modern Afghanistan, brought the cloak here in the 18th century. It is kept in a silver box under glass. You can see the silk threads glowing in the dim light. The thing is, the cloak is almost never shown. It's opened only on the most sacred occasions like Eid. It's believed to heal the faithful who see it. The tale told by the guardians of the shrine is that the cloak flies in the dreams of rulers, guiding them in moments of national crisis. Kandahar is a city of ancient, mysterious sites. Just outside the city, we find Chilzina, the 40 steps. This is not a building, it's a stairway carved directly into the face of a sheer rock cliff. 40 steep steps leading up to a small chamber. This site is pre-Islamic. It was likely a Zoroastrian ritual site, a place to worship the sun. The wind howls through the ancient grooves. But the local superstition is what's fascinating. They say the steps count your sins. As you climb, you are supposed to confess your wrongdoings. They say if you listen, you can hear the echoes of thousands of confessions in the wind. Kandahar's grandest structure for prayer is the Eidgah Mosque. This is a vast, open-air prayer ground with a massive 80-foot-high mud brick archway. It's the largest in the south. During festivals, this entire space is filled with thousands of worshippers. It's built on what locals say was an old battlefield. The legend here is that when prayers are held, they silence the echoes of distant unrest. Like all of Afghanistan, Kandahar has its Sufi saints. We visit the Baba Wali shrine. The tomb of an 18th century saint. It's a beautiful spot on the banks of the Arghandab River with prayer flags fluttering in the breeze. The sound of devotional songs carries on the wind. But this shrine has a very unusual ritual, a rolling ritual for wishes. If you have a deep wish, you are blindfolded, spun around, and then you must roll down a small hill. If you roll in a straight line, your wish will be granted. If you veer off, you must try again. It's a strange and powerful display of faith. From Kandahar, we travel north to another historic capital, Ghazni. Today, Ghazni is a bustling trade town. But in the 12th century, this was the capital of the mighty Ghaznavid Empire, an empire that stretched from Persia to India. It was a city of scholars, poets, and palaces. Almost all of it is gone, but two things remain, piercing the desert sky. The Ghazni minarets. These are twin towers, each about 65 feet high, though they were once much taller. They are covered in intricate terracotta bricks, arranged in patterns that look like desert flowers, with small remnants of turquoise glaze. These towers are all that's left of a magnificent mosque built by the Ghaznavid sultans. They are lonely survivors of the Silk Road's golden age. The local tale is that the minarets are not silent. They say on windy nights they call to the lost poets of Mahmud's era with the sound of wind chimes that were hung there centuries ago. The South is a land of faith and dust, but our journey isn't over. There are a few last gems hidden in plain sight. Our journey to find the hidden Afghanistan has taken us from the highest peaks to the oldest cities. We have 2 stops left, places that capture the surprising beauty and the unbelievable history of this land. We travel to Jalalabad in the east. Here, we find the Nimla Gardens. This is another Mughal paradise, a Chahar Bagh or quartered garden with reflecting pools and fountains. It was laid out in 1610 by Emperor Jahangir. In the spring, the air is thick with the scent of orange blossoms. It's a perfect example of Mughal garden design, a vision of paradise on earth. But it has a whimsical story. This was supposedly Emperor Jahangir's favorite spot for flying carpet picnics. Of course, the carpets didn't actually fly, they were just carpets. But the legend stuck, and this garden became known as a place that inspired airborne dreams and fantastical stories. Our final stop brings us back to Kabul. But it's not a ruin, or a garden, or a mosque. It's a private home. This is the Sultani Museum. Ahmad Shah Sultani was a trader, an art lover, and a collector. In 2004, he opened this private museum in a gallery in his garden, and what he collected is staggering. This is a private trove of gold curios, ancient jewelry, and most importantly, Bactrian treasures. We're talking about gold from Tillya Tepe, the famous Bactrian hoard from 2,000 years ago. While the main collection is in the National Museum, Sultani acquired his own pieces over the decades. They sparkle like stars in their cases. But the most fascinating object is a small one. It's a 2,000-year-old whispering coin from Tillya Tepe. It's not made of gold, but of a strange alloy. The museum guides will tell you a secret. If you spin the coin and ask a question, the way it wobbles and falls will tell your fortune. It's a tiny piece of magic, a direct link to the ancient, multicultural, and incredibly wealthy past of this land. From the turquoise lakes of Bande Amir to this tiny, whispering coin, we have seen an Afghanistan that the world rarely glimpses. A country of profound natural beauty, of staggering historical depth, and of an unshakable human spirit. The headlines will tell one story, but the real Afghanistan, the one hidden from the world, tells 1,000 others. As our exploration of Afghanistan's veiled wonders draws to a close, the call of undiscovered corners grows louder. The land whispers of even more secrets, forgotten ruins where empires clashed in silence. Emerald gorges that defy the desert's grip, and shrines where saints' echoes linger in the dust. We've uncovered more places, each a fresh chapter in this timeless saga, drawn from the provinces that time has tucked away. These are not the echoes of war or the shadows of headlines. They are the pulse of a nation etched in stone, water, and legend. Let's venture deeper into the North's buried treasures, the South's defiant forts, the East's lost cities, and the West's silent oases. Our journey continues north beyond the famous Blue Mosque, beyond the mother of cities. We push into the sun-baked plains of Yaozian province, a flat, dusty expanse that rolls toward the Amu Darya River. You see, this land looks empty, but what many overlooked is that the greatest treasures are often hidden just beneath the surface. Here, the earth itself was guarding one of the biggest secrets in archaeological history. We've arrived at Tillya Tepe, a name that means the Golden Hill. To a traveler, it doesn't look like much. It's a cluster of 6 low, windswept burial mounds in an empty field. You could, to put it mildly, walk right past it. Shepherds with their flocks are the only visitors. But in the year 1978, a team of archaeologists dug into these mounds, and what they found changes everything you think you know about this land. They didn't find a tomb, they found a treasury. These 6 graves, dating back to the 1st century before Common Era, were the burial sites of Kushan-era nomads. They were almost certainly royals, and they were buried with their gold. We are talking about over 20,000 individual gold artifacts. Not just coins, we are talking about intricate jeweled crowns woven with lapis lazuli. We are talking about scabbards for swords, encrusted with turquoise and garnets, gold belts, gold necklaces, gold statues of horse-riding queens. This was the Bactrian hoard, a treasure that rivals King Tut's. But the thing nobody tells you is the local legend. These aren't just mounds, they are cursed. Locals spin a darker yarn. They say these weren't kings, but 6 nomad sorceresses who bargained with jinn, powerful spirits of the desert, for power and immortality. Their gold, the story goes, is cursed. It will burn the hands of anyone unworthy who touches it. Today, there is no grand museum on the site. There are no velvet ropes. There is just the wind, the dust, and the low mounds. Shepherds who have grazed their flocks here for generations will swear that the sands shift at night. They claim that on a full moon, you can see the glint of buried blades that vanish by dawn. Standing here, with the Amu Darya River, the ancient Oxus murmuring in the distance, you feel the thrill of touching history's edge. This part of the world was a melting pot, and the Kushan Empire was at its center. We travel east into Baghlan province to find proof. Perched on a high rocky spur like a forgotten altar to the gods of an empire is Surk Kotal. This is a massive Kushan temple complex built in the 2nd century Common Era. It's a huge tiered stone platform bigger than a football field with grand staircases leading up to, well, now, to the sky. But 2,000 years ago, this platform supported a massive fire temple. This was a place where Zoroastrian flames danced in the wind. But here's the wow factor. Right next to the fire temple, they also found Buddhist stupas and statues. This was a syncretic marvel, a place where different faiths coexisted on the Silk Road. It was a true melting pot. The stairways are carved with figures of lion-headed eagles or griffins leading up to empty plinths. These plinths once held colossal statues of the Kushan kings, but they were toppled by time and invaders. The hidden tale. Archaeologists found inscriptions in the Bactrian script, a language written in Greek letters. They hint at a stairway to the stars, a ramp used for royal processions that was meant to mimic the king's ascent to heaven. This place still holds power. Locals avoid the site after sunset. They claim the wind carries the sound of chants, the whispers of long-dead priests tending a fire that went out centuries ago. And they say that on the equinox, the shadows of the empty plinths align to point to a concealed crypt, a vault of Kushan relics, untouched since the reign of the great king Kanishka. The Kushans wrote their language in Greek letters, but why? To find the answer, we must go further north to Takhar province, where the Oxus River carves a path to a true lost city. This is Ai-Khanum. The name means Lady of the Moon. This isn't just a ruin. This is a Greek city, frozen in time in the middle of Afghanistan, founded around 280 before Common Era by Seleucid settlers, the heirs of Alexander the Great. This city is pure, unadulterated Hellenistic splendor. The ruins sprawl across 1.5 square kilometers, or over 370 acres, and the discoveries are just shocking. We are talking about Corinthian columns, the kind you see in Athens, half buried in the silt. They found a gymnasium with wrestling rings etched in marble. They found an arsenal with Greek-inscribed tablets. Alexander the Great himself wintered near here, and his engineers laid out this city grid. Alexander's shadow lingers in every corner. But the legend that binds this place is a local one. It's the story of the Lady of the Moon, a moon goddess who was the consort of a Bactrian king. When he betrayed her, she cursed the city to sink into the river and be forgotten, and it was. It was lost to history until floods in the 1960s revealed it once more. To wander its palaestra, its main square, at dusk is an unreal experience. You half expect to see men in togas. You can almost hear the phantom clash of hoplite shields, a reminder that this is where East met West, not just in conquest, but in quiet colonization for hundreds of years. The Greek influence faded, but the Silk Road only grew stronger. We travel south to Kunduz province. Here we find Rabat Sangi, a 15th century Timurid caravanserai. A caravanserai was, to put it mildly, a fortified hotel for the Silk Road. And this one is a beauty. It's a time capsule. A magnificent turquoise domed gateway arches over a vast courtyard. Inside, weathered pistachio trees, hundreds of years old, still give shade. This was a 5-star rest stop. Its small rooms, or cells, once buzzed with merchants trading priceless lapis lazuli from Badakhshan for gleaming silks from Samarkand. The walls tell the story. They still bear faded frescoes, paintings of a life of luxury and leisure. You can make out polo players, a favorite sport of the Timurids. You can see dancing dervishes spinning in ecstatic prayer. But the real enigma of Rabat Sangi is the echo chamber. It's a vaulted hall, a masterpiece of Timurid architecture. The acoustics are perfect. A whisper from one corner travels up the walls and can be heard in perfect clarity in the opposite corner. Locals say it was designed by a clever Timurid acoustician, so the ruler could eavesdrop on spies and merchants. Today, locals gather here for poetry readings. They believe the echoes carry their verses into the afterlife, where the great astronomer King Ulugh Beg himself judges their rhyme. Not far away in the same province, we find a stark contrast. The Haji Piyada Mosque stands as a humble sentinel of faith. This isn't a grand tiled masterpiece. It's a small mud brick mosque from the 12th century, built by the Ghorid dynasty. Its most famous feature is its minaret, which leans like a weary storyteller. The name Haji Piyada means the pilgrim who walked. The story is that it was constructed by a holy man who walked barefoot all the way from Mecca. But the mosque has two secrets. The mihrab, the prayer niche, is inlaid with simple river pebbles. Locals will tell you that under the light of a full moon, these pebbles glow faintly. They say they are minerals from the Kunduz River that capture starlight. The second secret is in the courtyard well. The legend says that when the Haji Piyada first arrived, the village was suffering from a famine. He struck the dry earth with his staff, and this well sprang forth. For 3 days, it wept milk, not water, sustaining the entire village. Today, it's a place of quiet supplication. Devotees tie small threads to the leaning minaret, a silent prayer for a vow or a wish, and the call to prayer resonates like a heartbeat across the endless cotton fields. The north is a land of buried gold and buried faith. But now we must head east into the mountains. The journey east takes us from the flat plains into the rugged folds of Parwan province. The mountains here are sharp, unforgiving, and clinging to a cliffside like a dragon's hoard, we find Rabat-i-Malik. This is another caravanserai, but from an earlier time, the 11th century. And it's not a gentle resting place, it's a fortress. Hewn from the local red sandstone, its massive portal is carved with intricate Kufic script, patterns of intertwined vines that symbolize the eternal trade routes. This was a fortified inn for camel trains that had to dodge Ghaznavid raiders. It's a tough, imposing place. Today, it shelters goat herds and their flocks. And of course, they have a story. They recount the tale of Malik, the man who built it. They say he wasn't just a man, but a shape-shifting prince who was exiled for loving a Hindu dancer. His spirit, they say, never left. It manifests as a huge white falcon that circles the ruins every day at noon, guarding the pass. A climb up its battlements gives you a staggering view of the Gorband Valley. And inside, in the main hall, is the throne room. Here, a stone seat is set into the wall. Locals claim it holds the imprint of a hand left by the mighty Sultan Mahmud of Ghazni himself during a midnight council of war. From a fortress of war, we travel deeper into Logar province to a place that has become one of the most important and most threatened sites on Earth. This is Mes Aynak. This place is a riddle. It's a vast site covering thousands of acres. And it's not just one thing. It's a 3,000-year-old Bronze Age site. It's one of the world's largest copper deposits. That's what Mes Aynak means, little copper mine. And built right on top of it is a sprawling Buddhist monastery from the 5th century Common Era. Imagine it, a massive complex of stupas, temples, and meditation caves, all overlooking the turquoise-green pits of the copper mine. This is where the ancient world got its copper, and even its lapis lazuli. Ancient smelters and Buddhist statues dot the hills, but the legend here grips tighter than history. The miners who still work these lands talk of the Mother of Copper, a pre-Aryan goddess who, they say, birthed the ore from her own veins to arm ancient heroes against demons. They say that miners who dig too deep with too much greed awaken her wrath. The cave-ins that happen, they say, are not accidents, they are the sound of her sobs. This fragile mosaic is now protected by UNESCO. Excavations have been paused and started, a race against time. The stupas remain, whispering of the Kushan monks who lived here. And it's said those monks etched prophecies into the rock, foretelling the fall of empires and the discovery of the treasure beneath their feet. From the dust and copper of Logar, we seek a different kind of treasure. We go high into Badakhshan province, away from the Wakhan corridor's edge to the Zebak Valley. This is a natural symphony. It's an alpine meadow, a high-altitude haven over 6,500 feet up. The valley is carved by glacial melt. The first thing you see are the terraced barley fields, impossible patches of green cascading down the steep slopes. And in the spring, the entire valley floor is a carpet of wild tulips, blooming in impossible, vibrant reds and golds. This place is an Eden, and like Eden, it was a refuge. In medieval times, Ismaili scholars, fleeing the Mongol blades, hid in this valley. Their libraries were burned, but their lore survived in oral epics, songs that are still sung by the shepherds today. But the valley's true secret, a singing spring. It's a place where water bubbles over a bed of quartz, and the sound it makes isn't a gurgle, it's a hum, a series of harmonics. Locals claim this sound heals the soul. The legend is that Imam Ismail himself bathed in this spring, and it grants visions to the pure-hearted. To hike these trails at dawn, breathing the thin, cold air, is a spiritual experience. The mist parts to reveal the silhouettes of ibex with their giant curved horns standing on the cliffs. They are the guardians of this untouched, hidden world. We have seen the green east. Now the journey demands we go south into the fire. The south is a different world. We leave the mountains and valleys and enter the desert. We are in Helmand province, a place of heat and dust, and out of this desert, a single impossible structure thrusts 82 feet skyward. This is the Bost Arch. It is a lone, magnificent Ghaznavid monument like a petrified rainbow of baked brick. It was erected in the 11th century, but here's the thing. It's a gateway to nowhere. It was built as the grand entrance to Lashkargah's lost capital, a city of palaces that once stood here. Now the city is gone, reclaimed by the desert. Only the arch remains. It's adorned with faint stucco lions and Kufik verse praising Sultan Mahmud. But as always, the local tale is more dramatic. They say this arch wasn't built on sand, but on a demon's lair. The arch, they claim, seals the demon underground. On stormy nights, the thunder that rumbles across the desert isn't thunder. It's the beast straining against its bonds. The builders who quarreled during its construction, the legend says, were turned into the very bricks of the arch. Today, locals picnic in its long shadow, tossing dates into the void for good luck. And archaeologists puzzle over rumors of underground vaults where Sultan Mahmud's war maps, etched on leather, are still waiting. From a lone arch, we travel to a complete fortress. We are in Zabul province at the Kalat fortress. This is not a subtle mud brick fort. This is a monster. It crowns a massive basalt outcrop, a black volcanic plug of rock. Its zigzag walls are a labyrinth designed to confuse attackers, and this place is, to put it mildly, old. It dates to at least 500 before Common Era. This was a stronghold of the Achaemenid Persian Empire. It was here before Athens' Golden Age. It guarded the critical pass from Kandahar to Kabul, and everyone knew it. It was held by the Hephthalites, the Saffarids, and it was scarred by the catapults of Timur in 1383. Inside, a deep cistern whispers the fortress's greatest legend. It's the story of Queen Soraya, a 10th century ruler. The story goes the fortress was besieged, its defenders gone, but the queen defended it solo for months, moving from wall to wall, firing arrows, making the enemy believe it was still full of soldiers. She eventually fell, but her defiance is remembered. They say her blood stained the stones of the cistern, and on the equinox they still glow red. To climb its 300 steps today gives you a panorama of the valley, a land of green fields. It's a view bought by centuries of struggle. Our final southern stop takes us west into the endless desert of Nimros province. Here, rising from the salt flats, is the Dalarum citadel. This place looks like a mirage. It's a Sasanian fort from the 3rd century Common Era. Built of sun-bleached adobe, its round towers echoing Parthian designs look like they are melting back into the earth. This was a critical anchor for trade from Persia to India, but the desert is a place of spirits. The legends claim this fort was not built by Sasanians, but by Alexander's engineers, and they didn't build it to stop armies. They built it to trap something, a sand spirit, a jinn that devoured entire caravans. They say the spirit is still trapped. The ghost wind that howls through the arrow slits is the spirit still screaming. It's a sound that carries the phantom scent of lost spices, cardamom and saffron from the caravans it consumed. Today, nomads camp in its bailey, sharing tales around their fires, while inside, the last light of day falls on faded frescoes of winged horses. Faded but still fierce. The desert holds its secrets well, but there are a few whispers left in the west. These are not the easy stories, the ones shouted by grand monuments, but the ones you have to lean in to hear. Carried on the wind over baked earth ruins and high, lonely passes. Our journey has been one of ghosts and echoes, but it is almost complete. We loop back west toward the border with Iran to a place where the Helmand River traces a lifeline through the dust. We are heading to Farah province, to a landmark that is not just a city, but countless layers of cities stacked like the pages of a forgotten book. This is the ancient citadel of Farah. From a distance, it is deceptive. It just looks like a big hill, a massive slumped shoulder of earth rising from the plain. It's easy to overlook, but what many have for centuries is that this is the city. It is what archaeologists call a tell mound. An artificial hill created from millennia of human occupation. It is a hill made from the dust of countless mud brick homes, the ashes of great fires, the rubble of conquered palaces, and the bones of empires. It is the scar tissue of history, a place where centuries of cities have been built, destroyed, and rebuilt, one on top of the other. This place is a palimpsest of power. For centuries, it sat at a critical crossroads. Whoever held Farah held a key to the region, and everyone, it seems, wanted to hold it. When archaeologists began to dig here in the 1970s, they weren't just scraping away dirt, they were peeling back time. They found Parthian layers from the time of Christ, when this was a frontier against Rome. They found Kushano-Sasanian layers, a hybrid empire of East and West. They found deep, rich Islamic-era layers telling of a golden age of science and art. This mound was a silent witness to the rise and fall of dynasty after dynasty. Deeper, they uncovered the foundation of a 6th century palace, a statement of staggering wealth and power from the edge of the Sassanid Empire. And what they found inside is a wow factor that stops you in your tracks. A hypercaust heating system. Let that sink in. Ancient Roman-style underfloor heating in the middle of Afghanistan. This wasn't a crude fireplace. This was sophisticated engineering, a system of channels and pillars that circulated hot air under the marble floors, warming the lavish chambers of a forgotten king or governor. It speaks of a level of luxury we associate with Rome or Constantinople, found here in the heart of Central Asia. It's a clue that this was never a remote backwater. It was a cosmopolitan crossroads, but that's not all. They also found Zoroastrian ossuaries. These small, intricate bone boxes are a window into the soul of these people. They tell of a faith that held fire and earth as sacred, a belief that the body must not defile the elements after death. This was a place of high culture, profound wealth, and deep, ancient faith. But history is only one half of the story. The other half belongs to myth, and the local myth of the citadel is one of profound tragedy. The city isn't just called Farah, it's named for Farah, a Sassanid princess. They say her beauty was as vast as the desert sky, her spirit as fierce as the Helmand River in flood. Her love, of course, was forbidden. A romance with a man beneath her station. Her kingdom was invaded, her father's armies shattered. The new conqueror, arriving at the gates, demanded the princess as his prize. As she took her own life, leaping from the highest tower, she cursed the invaders. She cursed the citadel itself. She swore that no conqueror would ever find peace here, and no treasure hunter would ever find her gold. She buried her heart, the story goes, deep in the citadel's core. She swore that the only thing the greedy would find here was her sorrow, made real. And, the story goes, they never have. Conquerors have come and gone. The fortress was besieged by the Mongols, fought over by Safavids and Mughals, and in modern times served as a military outpost. None have held it for long. None have found peace. And the treasure hunters? Diggers and explorers find no gold, no caches of jewels from the Sassanid court. They find only thorns. The locals will warn you. The thorns grow thick and fast, springing from the dry, cursed earth, and they say these thorns are different. They always draw blood. At twilight, the citadel's silhouette against the red-streaked sky is haunting. The Helmand River flows by, indifferent to the tragedies it has witnessed. Some say if you stand there as the wind picks up, you can hear the faint clink of goblets in the breeze, a ghost echo from Sassanid feasts long, long gone. We leave the dust and heat of the lowlands behind. Our final stop takes us up into the central haze, climbing thousands of feet into a different world. We are heading for the remote, high-altitude province of Daikundi. This is the Hazarajat, the homeland of the Hazara people. The air here is thin and sharp. The landscape is a violent contrast of barren, rocky peaks and impossible green alpine valleys. Here, we find something that isn't a city, a fortress, or a place of tragedy. It is a place of peace. It's called Sangi Masha, the Stone of the Poet. It's a monolithic boulder, a single giant stone jutting from an alpine meadow as if dropped from the sky by a giant. It's covered in Safavid-era graffiti, elegant Farsi script from the 17th century carved deep into the rock. For centuries, this was a waymarker, a landmark for exhausted caravans crossing these high, lonely, and dangerous passes. The carvings are a testament, an "I was here," a prayer of thanks for safe passage, or a plea for the journey yet to come. But it's the story that gives it its name. It's said that centuries ago, a wayward poet, lost in a haze of sorrow, perhaps from a lost love or a lost fortune, stumbled upon this stone. He was defeated, hollowed out by his own grief. He sat under its long shadow, and as he stared out at the silent, majestic mountains, he found a new clarity. The stone didn't give him answers, it gave him perspective. It was so large, so permanent, that it made his own suffering feel small and temporary. He spent a week there composing odes, not to his sorrow, but to wisdom, to the beauty of the mountains, and to the strength of finding stillness. The stone, locals say, is special. It's alive. They say it sweats a clear dew, even on the driest, sunniest days. This dew, they claim, is the stone's response to the poet's clarity. It's the mountain's essence. And it cures a weary mind and a heavy heart. Nearby, glacial-fed alpine lakes mirror the minarets of rock that pierce the sky. It's a place of fragile, breathtaking peace. The silence is not the empty silence of ruins, but the full, rich silence of nature. Here, you will not find ghosts of tragic princesses. You will find Hazara elders sitting, recounting the epics of their people, stories of resistance and resilience, stories that, like the stone, have endured. Their voices blend with the wind's eternal sigh, a living history, guarded by a single silent stone. It is a reminder that some secrets are not buried in violence, but are held in the open, waiting for us to be quiet enough to hear them. We've seen the beauty, but can it ever be truly separate from its troubled story? That's the real question. Like and subscribe for more hidden worlds.